Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Larry Lavine.
Hey, what's up, Bill?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Well, you know me. I'm up to no good. Crime's a full-time job, and I get paid to be in. Now, don't I have the perfect job? Really?
Yeah, you do. You really do.
I talk to people all day on the phone. I listen to their... and I tell them, I don't know who's dumber, you or your fucking lawyer. And send me more money because I'm going to pull your head out of your ass. And guess what? They do.
So you're basically like a crime analyst. I see you on court TV. I see you all over the place making your rounds.
I'm actually... I'm the very, very first prison consultant in the United States. I spent 10 years in federal custody, and I was at 11 different prisons. I did time for narcotics trafficking, securities fraud, racketeering, obstruction of justice, and machine guns. You know, I dabbled into a lot of stuff. I was a troubleshooter for organized crime. Bill, let's say that you wanted to commit a crime. You kind of had an idea what you wanted to do, but you didn't know how to do it. So you would tell me, and I'd plan your crime out for you. I'd make crime better, you know? Yeah. So I was in this 11 different prisons. They moved me around a lot because they were pissed off at me helping inmates get out early. Legal work, healthcare, all this bullshit. And when I got out, I helped so many people. I founded Wall Street Prison Consultants. And that's how you see me on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, Inside Edition, Court TV, and all the other, because the mainstream media will bring me on because they know that I'm just going to say it exactly how it is. I make people cry, good or bad. This is it, people. You know what? We live in the real world, so you better pull your head out of your ass and pay attention to what I got to say.
And that's why I brought you on here, because today we're talking about Chuck Zito. Now, I don't know if you're aware of Chuck Zito.
I know who Chucky is. Chucky, he was on, he was a Nomad HA, 1%er, Hell's Angel. I think he was even on the Sons of Anarchy for a while.
Yeah, he got killed off. He filed a lawsuit against Kurt Sutter and them, said he stole his idea. And then Kurt Sutter brung him on the show, had him drop the lawsuit, and then killed him off.
You know, there's some people, Bill, I'd like to do that too, but I won't, because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, me too.
You know, the Feds said that I was killing people for the mafia. No, this is in my paperwork. I was killing people for the mafia, putting bodies in trash dumpsters and dumping people in the ocean to see if they'd float, you know? So the Feds are the biggest source of fictional that I've never ever heard of.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. So what are we talking about today? You told me you want to talk about what? Rule 35, informants and such?
Yeah, so Chuck was convicted of a crime. He says it was a telephone call. He said, I got convicted of a telephone call.
That's possible. Hold on.
But he didn't. He didn't get convicted of a telephone call. It's a lot deeper than that.
Okay, well, here's how that works. Was it a drug case?
Yeah, let me show you. Here's a clip of him explaining what he got in trouble for.
While you were locked up and you were having other Hells Angels cooperate.
Yes.
Against you. Yes. Were you offered a deal? Hey, cooperate and we'll make all this go away?
You know what? And me, you know, back in the day, you know, trying to be a tough guy and everything, he offered me a year. He offered me a year. You know, and I says, look, I never made a phone call. All right, so, and he offered Bert 3 years. 3 years.
One-eyed Bert?
One-eyed Bert, yeah.
Yeah.
So they offered him 3 years and me a year. And we said, look, I never made a phone call. These guys, I'm not taking a plea. But, you know, without being, you know, thinking, I would have did another 4 months and I would have been home because I already got time served 4 months in Japan.
Right.
I would have did another 4 months in New York and I would have went home. But I had to be a tough guy. We both decided not to take a plea. I got 10 years, he got 14 years.
Well, right. You pled guilty to one felony count of drug conspiracy.
So listen to what he says. He just said, if I would have took a plea, I would have got, right? I would have been home, right? So listen closely what he says.
I pled guilty, to a telephone count.
Okay.
That's what I pled guilty to. A telephone count, which is only 4 years.
He's right.
Watch what
Okay.
he said.
All right.
Yeah, but watch, because it gets deeper.
I got 10.
He's pled guilty to telephone count, but he got 10 years.
That's right, because what they'll do is they'll look at the predicate amount of drugs, and what they'll do is establish a mandatory minimum base offense level, and they'll run it as a conspiracy, because obviously there was some other jacks in here with him, but they'll run that 4 years concurrent, which means at the same time as the 10 years. So everything I've heard so far makes complete sense.
Okay, so keep listening.
All right.
Right. You got sentenced to 10 years for that.
Yes.
What if you had actually gone to trial and lost?
Uh-huh.
What do you think you
15
would have
years?
faced in that case?
Probably the same.
Probably the same. No, listen, if you go to trial and lose, you usually get more time.
Well, but he
Right?
was stuck. Yes and no. He was stuck on a mandatory minimum.
Yeah.
Mandatory minimum means that it's okay. Let's look at one of my charges. I had multiple indictments. On my drug case, it was only worth about 70 months on a plea agreement, that particular count. But because it was tied to a mandatory minimum, the judge had to give me 10 years. The judge didn't have a choice. Now, they could have broken the 10 years had I cooperated, and I did not.
That's where things get fishy. Watch this.
Right,
Probably
because
the
10
same.
years is a lot
Yeah, 10 years is a lot
for a phone call.
back in the day. Like I said, the phone counts 4 years. I got
That's right.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How-
And if I went to trial, I mean, I didn't have the money anyway to go to trial because lawyers get paid a lot of money.
Right, especially a
So,
big
but
trial
instead
like
of
that.
being, like I said, hey, Q, I'm not taking a plea. I didn't make no phone call. I was stubborn. If I took the plea, I would have did 4 more months. I would have been home with my family.
Maybe.
He did take a plea, though. He did take a plea. He's saying if I didn't take the plea, I would have been home 4 more months with
He
my
should
family.
have gotten at least, okay, phone count's worth 4 years. That's a known fact. A lot of times, if you pass a message to somebody about a drug transaction, that's all your involvement is. It's called using a communications device to further a drug crime. It's 4 years.
Yeah, but
Then
so what
you-
he got was, listen, drug conspiracy, mandatory minimum, 10 years.
Yep.
He got indicted in 1984, released in 89. He got a Rule 35 reduction of sentence for his cooperation in a case, and his case is sealed. It's not done. Watch this.
Instead, I wound up not taking a plea, got 6 years, and
Well, you got 10, but you ended up serving 6 years.
I got
Yeah.
and I got it would
Went
turned
to the
out to
drug
be
program.
a Rule 35. I wound up getting 7 from the 10, and then
Good time.
I lost my good time because they had a food strike. They blamed me for the food strike in Otisville, and I wound up getting all my good time serving. And they shipped me to Louisiana.
Yeah, you're all over the place. New York,
19
Pennsylvania,
different prisons.
Virginia, Louisiana, Alabama, Oklahoma, Missouri.
Yes, 19 different prisons I was at
Wow.
in 6 years.
Crazy.
So what do you think of that? He took a Rule 35. Now, what does a Rule 35 entail?
Okay. There's different types of cooperation with the government. Let's say that you're going through the trial process, and I don't believe he got a Rule 35. I think he got a 5K1. You're going through the trial. This guy that may not know what he got. Half the people out there don't really understand it. If you're going through the trial process, you have not been sentenced yet, and you agree to cooperate with the authorities, the U.S. attorney, the prosecutor, they will offer you what's called a 5K1. It's a snitch kind of thing, but it happens before sentencing. Remember, Bill, he hadn't been sentenced yet. Rule 35 comes in later. 5K1 is prior to sentencing. Well, let's say you've been sentenced and the judge gives you 10 years. Let's just say that's what happened.
That's what he says happened. He got
Well, he
sentenced,
could
and
say-
then they reduced it later.
Yeah, well, he could say you're a Martian too, can he?
Yeah.
Did they reduce his time before or after sentencing, or is he claiming that they lowered his sentence because of the 35? This is important. Have you actually looked at his docket?
I did try. It's sealed.
Really? You know what? Just
The
for
whole
shits
case
and
is sealed.
giggles,
Yes.
I have access to shit you do not. And I'm going to go into Chucky's docket right now.